Poof! It's been a while since I've done this. I think I did that right. All the volumes look good. Internet, nice to see you. It's Big Friday. Let me tell you, it's a special one here because we got some Namcops infiltrating the scene. In case you don't remember, a while ago, I gave this game a whirl, and these guys were like, look, we need to come on there and show you how it's done. You missed all the Wazza Rush cards. You didn't build the deck correctly. So we needed to call the chief of police, Yamanori-san, the game director over here, to show you a thing or two. So I'm very happy to have Tekken Mobile's game director, Landon Nguyen, on the left over there here, and the legend, long time Tekken game director since Tekken Tag 1, the legend Yamanori-san. How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming over here, will ya?
Hey, Aris, how's it going, man?
Very well.
All
right, man. Where to get started? Go ahead. I feel like this is an opportunity for you guys to talk a little bit about your game. So let me just give you the floor and let's talk a little bit about Tekken Mobile and what it is.
Sure.
テッケンモバイルの話をしましょう。
いや、よろしくお願いします。米森です。鉄拳7の業務用を作って家庭用の初期まで関わった後に今鉄拳モバイルメインで動いてます。で、幅広い客層に鉄拳のモバイルを楽しんでもらうことで鉄拳ファンが少しでも広がったらいいなと思ってます。今日はよろしくお願いします。
So great to see you guys with the stream. My name is Yonemori. I've been working with the arcade version of Tekken 7, and right during the initial development for the console Tekken, that's when I shifted over to Tekken Mobile, and that's what I'm currently on right now. I'd like for this game to appeal to a wider audience, so looking forward to talking to you guys.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about it first. In terms of just the basics, because everyone knows about Tekken 7. It's very popular now. Lots of people are excited about Tekken 7. And, you know, there have been a bunch of Tekken mobile games in the past, but none of them have been quite like this one. This is the one that's actually a combat system instead of like a turn-based type of a thing. So I want to know where did the idea come from, and what was the inception for this game in the first place?
So, I mean, from a business perspective, we kind of, Bandai Namco was looking at the mobile market. It's a growing market. And, we're like, well, it makes sense for us to kind of make a Tekken product that made for like kind of this generation of gaming. So when this project first started out, me and Yonemori-san actually got together and we started sitting down and kind of brainstorming ideas around how we wanted to, bring Tekken over to mobile. So we started out with kind of like prototyping and throwing ideas back and forth. And then, at some point we built this prototype and then, had a bunch of people look at it at Bandai Namco. And, it really resonated with, the Tekken team. As well as the rest of kind of the organization, and it got greenlit, and we ended up making it. So,
well, let's going from there. What I immediately think is, okay, so it's greenlit. You're ready to make a game. Now, going forward with that, what exactly are you trying to preserve from Tekken 7, and what are you trying to do that's like different? Because there's a lot to Tekken Mobile that when I play it, I feel like it's really clear that you guys are not trying to create something that's gonna suck. And I immediately think of the Street Fighter mobile game. That game, I hate to bring it up, but that game is trash, dude. They've been showing it on Wednesday Night Fights, and it's the reason is because the frame rate is awful and the controls are like complex. And the touch screen of a cell phone is just not able to like work well like that. And it seems like you guys are really in touch with that concept. Like, we're not going to make you do an electric wind god fist with your cell phone, right? So I really like that concept, and I want to know where that came from, and where did you decide to drop the idea of doing these inputs with your fingers?
Yeah, you know what? You nailed it right there. Like, the biggest thing for us was actually like to look at the platform we were designing for, right? Like, it made no sense for us. Like, we've all played. I don't know if we all played, but a lot of people have played virtual joystick games on mobile. like it sucks, right? Like after 5 minutes, the screen heats up and the oil in your hands kind of like start disrupting your inputs. And for a game that requires such like high fidelity and constant kind of inputs, it didn't make sense for us to go with the virtual joystick. And also like mobile, like when are you playing mobile games, right? You play mobile games when you're like in line waiting for coffee, or like when you're on the bus or wherever, right? Like, I mean, I know some people, they sit down, they play mobile for like a long period of time, but the mobile in itself is supposed to be one of those things where you're killing time, right? And I mean, with the game, we wanted it to be like, hey, we know it's not Tekken, right? We know it's not Tekken, but we didn't want it to be like a watered down version of Tekken. And we wanted to boil it down to like the key elements of like fighting games. So like spacing, timing, being able to like read and understand moves, and like the strategy and mind game of things. Because like, at least for players who've played Tekken or fighting games for a really long time, you know, after a while, the inputs and the mechanical ability kind of don't matter, right? Like it's all about kind of like that, the headspace and messing with the dude's head that you're fighting against.
Right. Yeah, most certainly. Now I'm wondering, so it looks like you guys have that concept that's part of your development philosophy. We don't want it to be something it's not, right? So another thing, when I initially looked at the game, the thing that I think everyone who's a Tekken fan thinks when they look at Tekken Mobile is, whoa, Marduk is in here. Whoa, Bruce is in here. Christie's in here, you know, and it's very appealing, right, to a Tekken fan, because these characters are, you know, for one reason or another, not currently in the current version of Tekken 7, right? So it is appealing to me, and it makes me wonder, is that part of your strategy to use characters that are perhaps missing from the main game to attract people like myself? And if it is, it's working. I'm wondering, what can you give us any clarity on that and why those characters are there?
Yeah, I mean,
the hard-hitting questions.
It's a hard-hitting question. Yeah, I mean, we obviously chose these characters because like they were absent from Tekken 7, and you know, for us when we were building this team, it was really important to have you know, passionate people working on it that understood and knew Tekken, and we all wanted to see these characters return. So you know, we've been working hard to kind of get all the approvals and clearances to get all these characters in. But I mean, I want to kind of throw this one to Yonomori-san a little, because he's been, you know, deep in the Tekken universe for a long time.
そうですよね。どちらかというと、家庭云々ではなくて、まあ、鉄拳知ってる人以外の人にもたくさん楽しんでもらいたかったので、いろんな格闘技の種類がちゃんとゲームの中に入るようにラインナップを選定してます。
So it wasn't so much that we weren't just focusing on people who've played the console version, but we want this to be something that'll introduce people from other disciplines or people who are interested in other genres. Like, we want this to be like an introductory to Tekken, so to speak. So we wanted to bring in as many different variety of fighting styles and so on and so forth. Again, for a much wider appeal.
で、もちろん鉄拳らしいキャラクター群っていうのもちゃんと入れて、まあ、鉄拳のもともと遊んでるファンの人たちにも楽しめるようにというのを、まあ、ランドなんかと相談しながら決めてきたラインナップがこの状態です。
And it goes without saying that we still want to preserve the Tekken-ness, so to speak, as well. So that's why we were focusing on characters that really signify this Tekken IP. So that's where I got involved with talking with Landon about which characters to bring into this title.
Very interesting. Can you go into any detail on the process of bringing a character from Tekken 7 into Tekken Mobile? I mean, there's a lot to it, right? There's approval, as you mentioned. You know, one thing I would like to know is, what are you trying to preserve of the character? What moves are you making sure make it into your game? You know, like, it's very interesting to me, because a little bit later, we're going to show a couple of combos. And there's a couple of trailers you guys have sent me to show that I really had no idea this type of thing was possible in Tekken Mobile. I've played the game a little bit, and it really was mind-blowing. I was not ready for the combos to be so robust. So what are you trying to preserve from the characters that you bring over?
So just while the translation's happening here, I think Yonomori-san kind of nailed it. Like one of the big things that I think was the big draw of Tekken early on was like there was this like super cool 3D fighting game where it was trying to answer I think the long question of like what style is better, right? And for me that's kind of how Tekken started. Was like, yo, would a guy who does kung fu beat a guy who does like karate versus a guy who does like drunken style boxing or whatever. So I mean, that was kind of like one of the things that we looked at, like Yonomori-san said, is like how can we iconically represent all of these fighting styles with, again, the system that we've the combat system that we've come up with. And I'll let him add to that if he wants to.
うん。もうラインナップについてはそうだし、ゲーム側で言うと、もう鉄拳の一番の根本的な部分っていうのは、いかに気持ちよく、戦った後に気持ちいい感覚が味わえるかってことがすごい重要だと思っていて、モバイルに持ってくるときにも、もういかに単純な操作で気持ちよさが味わえるかっていうのをすごく重視しています。で、それに適したゲームシステムはどんなのなんだろうっていうのを研究してきた感じになります。ちょっとラインナップとは違う話になってしまいますけど。
So this might divert a little bit away from the character lineup conversation that we just had, but as far as the character lineup is concerned, that is exactly what Landon said. But on top of that, we want to make sure that players would feel really good when they get a combo in or when they land a really great attack onto their opponent. So it's that feeling of exhilaration that we really wanted to preserve. And it then became the question of how do we make that possible with what kind of simple controls can we make that possible with us on this platform. So in terms of like the gameplay part of things, that's what was really important for us.
Yeah, like one thing I want to add to that is like when we say simplicity, we just mean like I think one of the biggest challenges for people getting into fighting games is learning the controls when you first start out, right?
Sure.
Like you bring a friend in who's never played Tekken, for example, you're gonna dumpster him big time, and there's no way around that. But like if we give users a way to kind of compete at like a more even level by simplifying the controls, simplifying the inputs, and making it more about like I said, the timing and stuff, it kind of evens the battlefield quite a bit, right?
Most certainly. So let's there are probably a lot of people that are going to watch this that at this point don't quite understand what the system is about. So can you explain to us what the combat system of Tekken Mobile really evolves around?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things we do all the time is we look at feedback from the users. We always hear people say, hey, you're like a bunch of other mobile fighting games. But, the reason for that is actually a lot of the basic controls in the game are gesture-based. So we use swipe for movement, tap and hold to block and on the left side of the screen, and you tap on the right side to do your basic attacks, right? And I mean, there's kind of an established genre there already, and obviously we want to look at how we can innovate on this. But as soon as someone picks up the game, one of the objectives that we had was that they'd be able to play it, with very, very little instruction. And from there, we're like, well, how do we implement like now all of the 100 moves or so that all these Tekken players have, and not make it about trying to hit an invisible button or a place on the screen? And people don't recognize that, I think, when they look at mobile games, is like, oh, well, why don't you just put a button on the screen or something? It just doesn't, there's no tactile feedback when you're playing mobile games, so you don't know whether you're hitting the button. Sometimes you're like on the border of things. So, we did a lot of prototyping and found that these problems kind of persisted, and we wanted to solve it by saying, hey, what if we just put a card on the screen? The card represents one of your many, many moves. But to kind of make things more interesting, we have them dealt to you in a random order based off a deck that you kind of created ahead of time, right? So instead of making it just about who can execute the best, we also wanted to make it about the strategy of who could build the coolest deck or the most strategic deck, the cards that have the most synergy and stuff. So
it's clearly like a lot of these concepts you're kind of fusing other concepts together, right? I've played a little bit of Hearthstone, and this reminds me of that. You create a deck, but you don't know what cards or attacks you'll have access to at any given time. So it's a matter of creating the deck well enough to be able to use each technique, at the right times. It's really, it's interesting because to me, if you have just one of these components, it becomes a bit shallow. But once you start adding everything together, it really creates something there. But when you were mentioning, Yamanori-san was mentioning that he wants it to be satisfying, right? He wants it to be satisfying when you hit the combo, hit the move. To me, something that I've noticed that Tekken Mobile has taken over that really is valuable is the dynamic camera and the slow motion. They just announced, and I can see it in the background over there, Soul Calibur 6, right? And I noticed that in that trailer, there's quite a bit of slow motion, dynamic camera everywhere, and everyone loves that about Tekken 7. So to me, I don't know if this is true or not, but to me it seems like the reception for dynamic cameras and slow motion in general is very good. I can see it used in Soul Calibur 6 and in Tekken Mobile. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you guys decide on where the camera goes and that concept of satisfaction a little bit?
Absolutely. I need to pass it over to this guy right here. So.
補足補足でもアリス言ってる通りで、さっき言ったことと同じになっちゃいますけどね、いかに今、鉄拳が一番大事にしてきた気持ちよさっていうのをモバイルの中にこう凝縮させることができるかっていうところに本当に気を使いました。でも、単純な操作でやりたいよねっていうところは守りたい。これが本当の根っこと根っこのコンセプトですね、ゲームの部分。
So it is really more or less what you said, Aris. It's again, I'm probably going to be repeating myself a little bit here, but it is about granting that satisfaction, just trying to condense that as much as possible into this mobile platform, and while doing so, making sure that players can feel that through really simplistic controls. It's that really I feel is at the foundation or at the root of this game design here.
で、後でランドンから多分説明あると思うんだけれども、誰でもすごい空中コンボみたいなことを簡単に実践できるっていうのがこのゲーム多分売りの一個になってくると思う。
And I'm sure Landon will be touching on this later on, but I think the idea here is that pretty much give this game to anyone can really produce really awesome aerial combos or what have you with very simple controls.
Very interesting. I feel like there's two components to this game, and that's almost like the way you guys presented it to me, especially Landon. So there's the component to the game that's the combat, and even in some ways, which I haven't tried this yet, but I will soon, the local verses available or that will be available in the game is something that's very interesting to me, and that's where Yanomori-san comes into the picture, right? The combat. But to tie the combat together, you need more, right, for a mobile game. So there's a lot to this game that I don't understand, and you touched on it with creating a deck. There's also lots of stuff to keep your thumbs busy between offline local encounters, right? So there's a lot of stuff to do. Can you touch a little bit on where those ideas came from? There's Wazza decks, cards, things to unlock. How do you, come up with these concepts, and how do they fit into your game?
So, I mean, like Yonomori-san had mentioned earlier, Tekken's this brand that really appeals to hardcore fighting fans, and the thing is, even within that, everyone's kind of interested about one thing or another, whether it's story or the mechanics or the moves. And with the rest of the design of the game, we wanted there to be something for everyone, right? For people who are in love with the Tekken universe and the characters, we wanted to kind of create a minor story that they can kind of rally around, or a way for them to be able to play with their favorite characters and discover something new about them. And then again, with some of the new art that we're introducing to some of the characters, or even the existing characters, bringing back some of the old stuff. Again, just we're trying to basically create a system where there's a little bit of something for players who are new to the universe and players who have been around for a long time, right?
Okay, excellent. Later on, you're gonna literally walk me through creating a deck. You're gonna teach me how this stuff works hands-on. So we'll focus on those questions later. But as far as the combat goes, and as far as the relationship, if any, with Tekken 7, and questions for Yanomori-san, one other thing that I have to bring up because it pops into my mind every time I play Tekken Mobile. these costumes that we see are like exactly what I want and what so many people have discussed wanting in the main Tekken game. So I would be crucified if I didn't ask, what is the probability or possibility that the leather costume for Nina and other costumes that we've seen that are default costumes for these characters could ever make their way to Tekken 7? I have to ask, even though I know you probably won't answer. I have to ask.
なるほど。
出てくる
まずは鉄拳7の家庭用にあってモバイルがないコスチュームを入れたいですよね。家庭用のコスチュームをまずモバイルに持っていきたいですよね。まずは。
Well, first things first, I would love to bring over costumes from the console version over to Tekken Mobile first.
その上で、要望もあれば、ちょっと話をしながら、そういうことできないかなっていうのを相談するのはあるかもしれないですけど、今のところ相談できてないですね。
Well, as far as the other way around is concerned, we haven't really gotten to a stage of asking about that with the console team anyway. And I mean, not to say that this isn't a possibility. It's just that it's yet to be discussed.
Interesting. Okay. So then that makes me wonder, you guys have your own like ability to, it seems like you guys have a lot of freedom to do a lot of things that basically what I'm trying to get at is if I was in your position, you guys are sitting pretty good, right? Because you can look at what everyone wants of Tekken 7 that they are unwilling to give people, and you could just give people that, you know? So it's like, oh, you want leather costume in Tekken 7? You can't have that there, but you know how many people want Bruce? I keep telling them, oh, you want Bruce? I hope you like mobile games, amigo. He's over there in Tekken Mobile. That's like this is something that you almost have like a edge over the main Tekken game. It's, I think, your main appealing drawing power for Tekken Mobile right now, and I think it's a very powerful tool personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really active on social media, just at least reading the feedback that Tekken's getting as a whole, and yeah, I mean, people are always saying, oh, you know, Tekken Mobile's got all this, and how come Tekken 7 doesn't have it? One thing I really want them to realize is Tekken, to make a full Tekken 7 character is way, way more resource intensive than creating these characters for Tekken Mobile, right? The process is very, very different, and again, we have to kind of gauge that against like a lot of different factors. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more we can talk about.
Of course. Excellent. Boy, man, I feel like I'm getting on the Namcops bad side with these hard-hitting questions. I got to take it easy. Before Yanomori-san kind of gives you the opportunity to give me some strats in Tekken Mobile, I wanted to ask, can you explain how the elements and stuff factor in to the game? Because I didn't even get to the point where I understand that. So how does that fit into the game itself?
Yeah, so the elements themselves, they act as kind of like another layer of strategy, something that we just want users to kind of think about before they go into every match. So, you know, we use a very traditional kind of element counter wheel that you see in a lot of games, and for us is just we wanted to make certain matchups kind of either more difficult or more meaningful for users. And again, we didn't want it to be a thing where you just kind of mash the fight button and then you go to the next screen. Like, we wanted users to kind of put a little thought into each battle before they went in. So
very interesting. Okay. Is there anything else that Yanomori-san feels like he would like to add, not only just about Tekken Mobile, but you know, anything? I know he's a busy guy. He's the chief of police over there, so he's got some crime to fight. But anything you want to add? Maybe some, I have to ask, secret info? I don't know. You know.
特ダネは言えないですよ。
Secret info, I can't really release any of that to you. Sorry.
まあでも僕長く鉄拳業務用家庭を作ってきましたけど、今回の鉄拳モバイルってすごく意欲的な作品だと思っていて、今まで実験したことがないようないろんなことを試すことができました。結果的には、まあ 単純な操作ですごいたくさんの技がこうまるで使えてるかのような感覚が味わえるいい仕組みになったと思います。
So, as you guys already know, I've been with the Tekken franchise for a fair number of years now, and having coming from that background, I feel that this title really is taking on a lot of challenges in that we're with all this trying to create the simplistic style out of this complex system and what have you. I feel we're trying to open up this franchise to a new possibility, if we may. And
で、その出来上がったゲームシステムの周りに、成長の要素であったり、デッキを組むなんか戦略的な要素であったりっていういろんなアウトゲームの遊びが入って一個のこのゲームとして完成しているので、家庭用の鉄拳の遊び方とはちょっと違うタイプの鉄拳の楽しみ方だと思っているので、ぜひ遊んでもらいたいですね。
So while we have the simplistic controls and what have you, on the other hand, we have more of the strategic elements, may it be the deck composition and so on and so forth. So all things encompassed becomes this one great game. So I know this is going to be a different experience from your typical console Tekken, but this is what we're trying out right now.
個人的にはタッチパネルを使った格闘というかアクション、意外となんか面白いなと思うところもあったので、もしかしたらなんか先に広がるものがあるかもしれないなと思っています。
So personally, I felt that this game that utilizes this touch panel controls, it was surprising. Like it turned out to be surprisingly good. So I feel this is opening doors to many other possibilities from here.
Very cool, very cool. Thank you so much for that. And I mean, I've been a Tekken fan since I was a kid, and just to be able to have a back and forth with someone who is so integral in the design of the game is truly an honor, and I really appreciate your time, muchacho. That's very nice of you to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. So you guys have given me a trailer to show here, and this is going to be like a reveal of sorts. Now, I've done podcasts for many, many years, and I've never figured out how to do this correctly. So I'm hoping that this works the way I've designed it. But thank you very much again, Yanomori-san, and we're gonna check out this trailer right now. Hopefully it works, and then after that, we'll see about maybe playing a little bit of Tekken Mobile. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed here.
力こそすべて。
Man, I am there's two things going on in my head right now. First of all, I'm glad that worked, right? But secondly, when you guys told me that there was going to be a trailer, I thought to myself, well, okay, how cool could it be? But man, those combos ended up being way cooler than I thought they could be, right? In the game. I've played the game already. And we have another video later that we're going to show that's also like a combo video, kind of showing the potential of what's possible in this game. That really, like, that one, again, sorry for the spoilers, blew me away. It really blew me away of what's possible in the game, especially after I've played it myself. So, when I played it, I was, like, doing one move and shit. So, we'll figure that out. You guys will show me the secret Discord tech on how to create those types of combos and make them happen. But that was, I guess, the first look, right, at Jin in Tekken Mobile. So let's talk a little bit about Jin in Tekken Mobile. Obviously, he's one of the flagship characters of the game. I personally am not the biggest Jin player out there, but there are quite a few. So let's talk a little bit about Jin and what he is like in this game.
Sure. So, I mean, I don't even remember what's on we listed as the strengths, but for Jin, he's a big character for the franchise. We felt like this was kind of a good time to announce him. He's coming in the next update patch, which should be coming out soon. We can't really announce the date yet, but soon. But he'll be in the next update patch. And again, with Jin, with every character that we put in, we kind of look at the balance of all the characters that are in right now, what kind of moves they have, and then what kind of Wazzas we can give him to kind of give him a different place in the meta, if you will.
Yeah, that's really what I was kind of getting at. Like when you bring a new character into the game, I mean, where do you approach? How do you begin the approach of what's going to make this character different than the other ones, right? Because in Tekken, the main title, you have a lot of ways to do that. Complexity and execution, there's lots of different move options. But when it comes to a game system like this, you're a lot more limitations, right? So what do you really do? I mean, like, how do you decide what role this character will play in your system?
Well, first, obviously, we look at his moves in Tekken console and see kind of like what the distribution of his moves are. Like, for example, Jin in Tekken 7 is kind of like his strengths are mid-range, right? He's got that like forward 4 poke that's like super, super strong. And we wanted to retain some of that with Tekken Mobile. Now, one of the things that he has, or Jin has in Tekken Mobile, for example, is a lot of long-range guard breaks, right?
Right.
And what that does is it allows you to get in close to the enemy, especially if they're turtling or blocking a lot, and allows you to basically launch an attack or a combo starting from a greater distance away, right? So, one of the things we look at is like Wazza Distribution. So right now we have a couple Wazza types in the game. And with Jin, with each character, actually, some guys will have more strike cards, so they have like a higher damage output, but other guys will have more launchers, so they're more akin to kind of doing air juggles. And then there's guys who have like stun cards and throw. So with Jin, again, like it just comes down to what Wazza distribution we give them. One thing that I want to mention though is like a little while ago we announced King. And with King, we also introduced a new Wazza type to the game. This is something that we're actually going to be doing throughout, the lifetime of Tekken Mobile to increase kind of the complexity of the game, if you will, but also see the game evolve over time, right?
Sure, yeah, definitely. You've been mentioning the introduction of the throw Wazza type into the game, which really mixes things up, right? Because you already have like a rock, paper, scissors situation, and then you throw in this new thing, stapler or whatever, and it's really running the show. So, I mean, like, I don't really know how, like I've said to you many times, and I don't know much about development of games in general, but I know it's very difficult. Now, how big of a team do you have making these decisions? I know I've met a couple of your guys already. How many people are making this?
We've got actually 2 teams. So we've got this game's basis is in Vancouver, Canada, and we've got about 50 people working on the game here. And then we also have a team in Japan. The size kind of varies depending on kind of what we're doing, but they're the guys who are providing us with a lot of the art and then some of the gameplay stuff. Yeah. Because again, who better to make Tekken art? Sorry. Okay, so about 20-30 people in Japan right now. But again, the game's kind of scales based on what we're building. So.
Interesting. So it's like it's interesting to me because you have like, of course, this is a Japanese company. All these assets and all these concepts are Japanese, right? And they have to be kind of you have to be allowed to use them in a sense, right? So you have to, in a way, ask for permission, go through a process. Then they send you the information, and then you create a character with it. So one thing I want to know is, and this is one of those questions that it's like a fan question, but when they send you these assets, what's in that folder, right? There's gotta be something in that folder that everyone who's a fan of Marduk, wants to know. Do you get frame data for the characters? What do you get in those folders? Can you say anything about that?
Yeah, I can kind of go over briefly what we get, but like it's honestly like it's a collaboration very closely with Yonemori-san and his design team, where we sit down and we look at all the concept art for the outfits. We look at all of his wazas. We look at the tuning of his attacks, and from there we start just hashing it out. So I mean, like game design is really a bunch of gamers in a room yelling at each other for a long period of time, and then coming to kind of a decision around what direction we want to take. So in the character packages that we get, again, it's everything that you mentioned and more.
I bet. What's the more?
So we always have like future plans for these characters as well. Stuff that I can't really talk about in some cases, but yeah, like we get like frame data, we get animations.
Like what I'm thinking is, do you get animations for moves that don't exist? Like, let's say there's a move that doesn't exist, it got scrapped because it was too cheap. Do you get this animation in that folder and you're like, whoa, what is this move? I mean, you guys are Tekken fans. I've talked to you about Tekken. Look at this guy's face. Oh man. Woo, man, that's getting, your face is getting me excited. Can you say anything about that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. The chin scratch. The chin scratch said it all. Damn, you guys got unreleased moves over there?
Yeah, like dude, like the amount of stuff that we wanna do with Tekken Mobile is astronomical. But we have a relatively small team, if you will, and the timing and delivery of all this stuff kind of it just takes time, right? Like
Sure.
we've got limited resources as well, and we want to make sure that we roll things out at the right time. So like before anything, even before any users see it, we make sure that we kind of play the game, we play it amongst ourselves. And actually, one thing I want to add is for players who have seen some stuff about Tekken Mobile, we are releasing a head-to-head mode where it's a local versus mode where you and one of your friends with a cell phone can sit down and actually play this game head-to-head. And we use that as kind of like the testing ground for a lot of the moves that come out. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming, but I can't really talk too much about it.
Sure thing. One thing I want to bring up, and something that you mentioned to me, not today, but in the past, you've mentioned to me when I asked why is it local versus mode and not net play versus mode. And go ahead and answer that question, and I'll explain to you why I love your answer.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, the first thing we thought about was, how can we make this game online versus? But like, just full transparency, the technology simply isn't there yet. Like a game like Tekken, even on PC or console, like the way you play is completely different. You can't punish people the same way you can when you're playing like on your couch, right? So for mobile, the technology simply isn't there yet. But we still wanted to deliver that head-to-head experience somehow. And we are looking at other solutions and other venues to try to deliver that. So we thought, okay, well, what's on the cell phone that will allow us to kind of deliver on that? So and just to give you a bit of context, if we did open up a mode and say, hey, we've got online versus right now, you try to punish someone with like a 10 or 12 frame window, for example, it's just not going to happen because the connection, like the online connection, it just won't allow for it. So
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's something that, I brought up, and I keep bringing up other games because I'm not an expert at this type of thing. When I hear something that reminds me of something, the Street Fighter mobile game, the one that everyone always is shitting on because of its frame rate and whatever, that game, to me, it really did the opposite of what you're doing here. It should have realized that there are a lot of things that it can't do well. So don't try to do something if you can't do it well. And that seems like an overall philosophy for you guys, which is the right way to do it. Other companies, other developers, I feel like would have just put it out, even though it sucks, right? But you guys understand, look, we got to make this local because it's going to be trash if it's over the internet, and we don't want that to be the case. So I like that design philosophy, and it kind of relates a little bit to the whole concept of the battle system of Tekken Mobile. You removed the sidestepping, you created a simple combat system where Tekken fans can just twiddle their thumbs and enjoy the game without, looking like a fool trying to do a electric, right? So really, overall, the design philosophy seems very cool compared to what I've seen out there, right? Very, very cool. So, I mean, you're the driver here. The reason you're here is because you guys were like, Aris, you don't know what you're doing with the Wazza Rush, with the Wazza cards. So we want to give you a little bit of a game fact. So you tell me where we're going from here. We just showed Jin. Teach me the ropes, will ya? Show us how to play.
I want to address that point actually about the sidestepping, because that's probably one of the things that I see the most online, where everyone's like, oh, it's not 3D, there's no sidestepping, it's trash. And my answer is, well, you know, if you actually look at the combat system, where we're delivering Wazzas to you, and these Wazzas determine basically what moves you have. You know, in the case that you build a deck, or you're in a situation where you don't have a tracking move, how are you gonna hit someone who's sidestepping constantly, right? Like, so like these are the things that we like took into consideration. And same thing with high-low. Like one of our first prototypes of the game had high attacks and low attacks, and high blocking and low blocking. And again, if you think of like, you know, the use case for mobile, if you're in line or you're on the bus or something and you're playing Tekken Mobile, do you really want to think about like high, low, and did I build the right deck, or do you want to just whip out your phone and have like, you know, an enjoyable and relatively fun, you know, Tekken experience, right? So, okay, so let's get into the game here.
Certainly. Let me grab my phone. I'm ready. I hope my battery life is gonna hold up. Oh yeah, we're good to go. Easy to do. All right, so I'm ready to go.
So we gave you a couple of resources there. You've got a couple fighters added to your roster. Actually, if you hit fight right now.
I noticed everyone's been making fun of the daily, these daily challenges up top here, because they're all customized. Also, the Namcops created this overlay. I'm not a self-proclaimed Tekken guru. But let's see here. Where do you want me to go? Guide me, compadre.
All right, let's hit the fight button here.
I'm ready.
And yeah, we actually set up this build specially for you. We actually created some special live events as well.
Right. I'm ready. I'm ready.
But let's start by going into fight right now.
Excellent.
So hit abandon, because it looks like you've got someone in one of the events there.
Okay, we're abandoned.
All right, and then let's go into live events.
I'm there.
And then look for the king event.
$100 combo?
$100 combo.
All right. There it is. Begin.
And then from there, just choose your character.
Oh, I got to turn the volume up. I forgot about that. Let me turn the volume up. There it is. Music to my ears.
So this is actually one of the new things that we're adding to an upcoming patch here, but we wanted to add special rules. So like, you know, playing Tekken 7, one of the really fun things we found was, you know, when you're doing treasure battle, every once in a while you'll do this like speed battle or air combos or air juggles only. So we wanted to add these things into the game that were just fun, right? So in this particular battle, we've tuned down the AI just so that we have a bit of time to kind of talk and for you to mess around. But you also have infinite Wazzas and you have a fixed deck order.
Ooh. All right.
So go add your fighter, whatever fighter you want. I think we've given you all the moves for Bruce and Asuka and who else?
I'm picking Bruce. So I only need to pick one fighter for this puppy?
You got it.
All right, I'm ready. Begin. Damn, look at all this gold I got up there. What can I buy with that?
We'll get into that later.
Okay, good. Sounds good. I'm ready to go. Fight.
Get ready for the next battle.
Using a lot of healing potions. Try blocking. Using a lot of healing potions. Try blocking, scrub. All right.
My God, man. Some of the
load screen.
Some of the
tips?
writing in this game, awesome. You should. I encourage everyone to check out like some of the writing that's done for Leo. It's brilliant. The design team's done a great job. Actually, the whole team here in Vancouver has done a great job on this.
Dude, I'm
All right.
telling you, man, there are, you know, I don't want to talk shit about Marvel versus Capcom Infinite all day, but this game looks better than that game, and let's not even go into it. So I'm ready. I'm Bruce.
All right, so I want to actually go over some basic controls. You kind of, I think you've already done that, but I want to teach you some like secret Discord stuff, right?
Please do.
All right, so if you hold on the right side of the screen, that's your heavy attack, and that goes through blocks.
That's gonna go through guard, huh?
Yeah.
Every character. Oh, you have to get the Wazza.
No, just
every
hold the right.
character. This is universal.
Yeah, it's universal.
Oh, guard break. Yeah, I remember that.
Now, that in itself is kind of like, just the basic way to use the move. But if you actually hold and you swipe left or right in the middle, we actually allow you to dash cancel and like fake out your opponent.
Oh, interesting. Okay. This animation, the purple that comes up on my arms, is that a universal like effect?
Yeah, that's right. So everyone will learn to like that, but again, so this is one of the things that we left in the game to add like that mind game and that depth that we've been talking about, right? So
yeah.
when we finally get into like looking at local versus, you'll see how much of a factor this is, because you can actually get people to like whiff on their Wazzas and it feels amazing.
So that's one thing that I think a lot of people are going to be thinking, right? So what good is a charge cancel if it's the AI? And this is obviously a decision made for local versus. Clearly, you want to cancel this key charge animation, which is actually the animation for a guard break, and you cancel that to fake out a human, right?
Yeah, you got it, man. So
Okay.
actually, a lot of the Wazzas kind of work that way too. Is we found that when you're up against the AI, just for a lot of reasons, guard break might not necessarily be the most useful thing. But when you take a guard break into a versus fight, like it has a huge impact on whether the player actually or your opponent actually holds the left side of the screen or not, right? Because when you do a guard break, it only stuns you if you're blocking. If you're not blocking, it doesn't stun you.
Huh. Right. Okay. I'm just messing around with the cancel timing. It looks like you have a pretty big window to cancel it.
Yeah, it's pretty generous. So like we want you to be able to like change up the timing of this so that it's not always consistent and it's not always readable, right?
Yeah, you can cancel it real late. And it automatically runs once you do this. It runs in to do the guard break. Like it closes space. So you can do it from full screen. That's very cool. Okay.
Yep.
Man, that was just only one thing. All right, you're already doing a good job of explaining. Next. Keep it coming.
Cool. So, all right, so the bottom right corner there, you'll see your Wazza cards. So they're all color-coded, and right now there's, 5 Wazza types in the game. So there's Strike, which is a high damage card, usually used to, like, end combos, or it's like a get-off-me move, kind of. The orange one that you just used is a stun card. When you stun someone, it, again, gives you just like a free opportunity to attack them afterwards.
Can you give me a rundown of what the visual indicator is of these things? Because I see a broken shield. That's obviously a guard break, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then you just use the stun card there, which is like the two lightning. I don't know.
It's a crumple.
It's a crumple move. Yeah, it's basically a crumple.
Okay.
And then you see that there's an arrow one where that's the one that will launch them into the air and let you do air combos.
Okay.
So the way all of these Wazzas are designed, they play like you can combine them together. So if you throw away one of your guard breaks, for example, and you get like a red or an orange one, you can go orange and then into green. So if you actually look on the bottom right corner there, there's letters above all of the Wazza cards, and that's the recommended order that that the game says you should use them in. So the G is obviously a rare case where it's just guard break, but when you have like several different Wazza cards of different types, they synergize with each other quite well. So interesting.
So let's go over, before we get too much into the Wazza cards, I feel like I want to talk a little bit more about the basic system, because let's just start from the top, right? So you hold down the left side of the screen to do block, right? And there's no crouch block, as you said, and there's no sidestep. So he's guarding or he's not guarding. So that's one of the rock, paper, scissors options, right? So we have the block and no block. And to beat the block, we have a key charge, which is cancelable. That breaks guard. And no guard. To beat that, obviously, you just attack them with regular normals. Can you talk to me a little bit about these normals?
Yeah, so the normals are like each character has one set, or actually two set normal combos, one from close range and one from far range. So if you dash back, you see that Bruce does his double knee there. But if you get close, he does the close combo.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And these are your two options that are without cards, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Are there any other tools that you can use other than guard break, far normal, close normal, and moving backwards and forwards and blocking?
No, at the moment we've only gone with two. We actually had more in the past, but one of the problems with adding too many contextual attacks like this is the user doesn't know what they're going to get when they hit the right side of the screen, right?
Sure.
So we wanted it to be a very discrete action that users are taking every time they choose to launch a normal attack. And again, these moves are meant to be used in conjunction with the Wazza card. So as you'll probably show later in our in the Wazza combos, or sorry, the Wazza combo video that we talked about, there's like some crazy combos that the guys here have come up with, and you'll see some more of that.
Yeah, I've already previewed that video, and it's like I want to talk a little bit more about that. We'll watch the video whenever you're ready. You let me know, and then we'll talk about the combos available in the game after that. But so we're in this $100 combo mode. What exactly does this? This is like a special event, right? So what exactly does this event entail?
So this one we just made for you, so that we could step in and kind of mess around. But what we want you to do is basically go in. If you hit the pause button right at the top of the timer there.
I'm in the middle of a combo. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, I've paused.
The pause button, you can quit out.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to have you go into our deck builder, and then you can build a deck so that you can see kind of, how all this stuff gets put together.
Okay. I got some gold for that. Though I didn't accomplish the goal, right? I didn't like beat him, did I?
No.
Yeah, we'll do that later. Oh man, I just got a something. Tap to open. I've been hooked on my daily spins on Gran Turismo Sport. I've been doing that every day.
They got you, man. They got you.
They got me. All right, so I'm on the main menu.
All right, so let's go down to fighters.
No, that's not the main menu. All the way. Okay, main menu, fighters. This is way better than last time. I was totally like lost, you know. This is like a guide, so this is great. I'm there. Story mode, dojo, live events.
No. So go back to the main menu and hit the fighters.
Got it. We're there.
Yeah, and then choose the character you want to go in. Let's stick with Bruce, I guess, since you're.
It says Bruce got KO'd.
Oh man, that's what happens when you back out.
Cool. You told me to do it, man. All right, let's go with no. Okay, I was gonna pick Sergey, but I want Oscar.
Okay, let's go with Oscar.
Oh, let's go with Oscar. Okay, I'm there.
All right, you see the Wazza panel?
Is that the upgrade thing on the right?
No, it's on the right there that you'll see three options. The Wazza one.
Oh, there we go. Wazza cards.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Now we got all the Oscar moves. Oh boy.
We got it.
I totally didn't even know about this.
So right now, every character has roughly 30 Wazzas.
Wow.
But this is just the start, right? Like eventually we want to expand this to new types, new moves. I mean, I don't know whether there will be moves that haven't been in Tekken yet, but that's something that we kind of have to figure out.
Haven't been in Tekken yet? Is that what you just said?
New for Tekken Mobile only. Sorry.
Wow. Well, unbelievable. Okay. Go on.
So from here, basically on the left, you'll see the 9 cards that you're selecting, and at the top, you'll see the name of the deck that you'll be taking into the battle. So why don't you try actually tapping on some of the cards on the right there in your inventory?
I'm gonna tap on the ones that are good. It's funny because you guys have like a little image showing what the move is, and it's pretty clear, right? This one's forward 1, so I want that one. But where did it just go? Oh, here we go. Oh, and you get to see the animation. So it shows you the cooldown And what are these little diamonds on the left indicate? The value?
So right now, those are indicating the I guess the rarity of the card.
Okay.
So how rare the Wazza is. So the ones are obviously the lowest ones, and then as you move up through the rarities, you'll find the 4-star or the four diamond rarity cards. They actually have special properties.
So how do I equip them? I drag them in?
So you drag it into your deck on the left, and then when you're ready, you hit save.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
You see, your character starts off with a bunch of basic cards, and you can tell the basic cards because they don't have any diamonds equipped on them. Right?
So I'm gonna switch out all the basics, right?
Switch them out.
And so when you're creating a deck, what's the beginning strategy of the number of each type of card you want? I don't want all reds, obviously, right? Because then I'm gonna get smashed by someone. So what's the give me a beginner's deck.
See, so that's actually the beauty of it, right? Is like we want you to have your own way of playing Oscar, for example. So if you like all red cards because you love launching people, then that's how you play, you know? So it really comes down to the user and how they want to play the game. And, you know, it was really interesting for us to at least start building decks at first, because when we first came up with the concept of these decks, we weren't sure whether it would be interesting or not. But guys started building these decks that were like super, super OP, super, super powerful. And we were playing against each other, and we're like, wow, that's actually really interesting, because, you know, one guy who used, Kazuya would play him one way, and another guy on the dev team would play him completely differently and have a completely different set of cards. And I mean, in a way, that's actually akin to how people play, you know, the real Tekken characters, where they have their go-to moves, and everyone has kind of like something to their game that's unique, and that's something that we really wanted to capture for this Wazza system.
You know, what's interesting to me about a lot of this component of the game seems so much about fighting against a human, right? It's a really big part of it. So I'm really looking forward to trying that. But I mean, let's say, okay, I got a couple of cheap cards, I got a couple of not cheap cards, so let's say I'm ready, right? I got my deck ready to go. Before we go, though, from this screen, I'm seeing here that there is an opportunity to recycle here. Is that like turning it into dust and then use that for something?
Yeah, so there's actually a crafting system in the deck builder as well. When you hit the recycle button, what it does is we've actually given you the max amount already.
Oh, okay.
But it allows you to craft Wazzas for characters that you don't have. So, you know, we want to make sure that you know, every time you're getting duplicates in our game, it goes towards something that's valuable to you at some point, right? So whenever you get a duplicate, it eventually gets converted to crafting Wazza, and that crafting Wazza can be used to build new Wazzas for your characters.
Okay, so I'm ready to roll here. I think I got my deck. I got, you know, 4 greens, a couple of reds, I got a blue. Is there any purpose to having more than one blue? It's a guard break. You only need one, right? No, because it needs to come up in your draw, right?
Right, it gets randomly dealt to you,
well,
right?
Then in that case, let me get another guard break in there.
And then once you're done with your deck, make sure you're hitting the save button.
Save. All right, I think it's saved.
Okay, great.
Twice.
So once you've saved, you can go back to the main menu, and then actually what I'd like to do is have one of our designers here come in and walk you through one of the modes. What do you want to do first, story or Dojo?
You're the
Sure.
boss.
All right.
Who are we gonna get? This is one of the developers over here. Is it Mike or Justin?
Mike or Justin? Let's see.
This is a reveal. Hey, all right, Justin, what up, man? How's it going? He's another Namcop.
Yeah, how you doing? Great to be on here.
For sure, man. So give me the strats. Damn, dude, I just went to the main menu. Who is Isaac? Who the hell is this guy? Oh, he's got some oh boy. So you guys, that jump kick, oh boy. All right, so who is Isaac? Is this the guy from Dead Space or what? Who is this guy?
So these characters are some of our story characters. You'll see them as you progress through the story, but we also wanted to allow players to collect these guys and use them. So they are. And they also have a sort of a collection of Wazza moves from a lot of the different cast members. So you'll see a lot of probably recognize them.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the idea with Isaac and the other bros.
So can you tell me how many of these types of characters currently exist in the game? In this game? Is
Yeah,
it
so
like a lot?
Right now there's 4 of the characters, and they have 2 rarities each. And we'll see what the future holds. If people are into Isaac and our Karate Master character, we might get more in the game.
Yeah, we were worried people would like them too much and then want us to do a lot of stuff with these characters.
Isaac's got a serious unibrow, I'll tell you that. Is that an item or is that default? That looks good. All right, so I'm ready. I'm on the main menu. Isaac's chilling here. Give me some direction.
All right, so let's go into the fight menu to show you some of the modes that are available in the game.
Sure thing. So I'm there. Story, dojo, and live events.
Yeah, so let's start with the dojo actually, because I don't think you tried that out on the first stream.
I'm seeing a dojo vault with a treasure chest, and I love treasure. So.
Well, this is the perfect mode for you. Yeah.
Okay.
So the dojo mode is like Landon was saying, we talked about doing a network multiplayer, but things weren't necessarily there with the tech. But we wanted to have some kind of player versus player online element. So this is the dojo challenge mode. And with the dojo, what happens is you assign defenders to defend your dojo from the characters that you have, and they act as defenders for that dojo. And other players can then attack that dojo. So if you want to go into the attack,
okay.
We can run ourselves through a fight here.
I'm there.
All right, so you'll see on the left-hand side where you can enter your team, and the dojo battles are a 3 versus 3 format. So you can
best of 3.
Yeah, I'll go over that. Yeah, so you can put in 3 characters. The dojos you're gonna run across are pretty low level in this dev build, so if you want more of a challenge, you can go with your lower tier characters, or if you want to blow out, you can put Oscar in there.
Well, maybe if that's the case, I'll switch out some of the buff ones, but I want Oscar in there because I just made that dope thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so I'll put Oscar in the back. She'll be my anchor.
Nice.
Okay, I'm ready. I got 2 1-stars up front and Oscar in the rear where she belongs. So what do we do here? Begin?
Yeah, let's go begin. And so what this is going to do is it's now going to look for other players' dojos in the wild, and each of those dojos has a dojo chest associated with it, and that chest is full of lots of goodies, right? So what you want to do is find the best chest you can, and then from there you can fight to try to get it.
The best, when you say the best chest you can, am I going by the name of it? Because one of them says massive level 3 chest.
Yeah, definitely. So what you're looking at here is the different sizes of the chest give more items.
Okay.
But what you want to do is find those harder chests. Of course, the larger chests are going to have harder opponents to fight.
Sure. Okay, so do I just pick one?
Yeah, sure. You can just hit the fight button beside one of the ones you want to fight.
Okay.
And then you'll get into the pre-fight screen for the dojo.
Right.
Dojo format is a 2 out of 3 match, so you can lose one of these and still win the fight. But this part is all about the strategizing, choosing which character you want to take on which character of the dojo defenders. So we talked a little bit about the element bonus before, so you can see you're going to be fighting Nina first, and Kazuya has an element advantage over her. So that would make sense to go in with, or obviously Asuka is higher rarity, so you can bring her in, or you can save her. It's up to you.
Can you go over the elements? Which ones are available in the game?
Yeah, so there's 4 elements. There's lightning, there's earth, there is water, and there's fire. And so they cancel each other out in different ways. So you can see there lightning beats water. water beats fire. Fire
Okay, here we go. Element bonus damage 15%. Okay, gotcha. So I'm ready to roll. Should I hit fight?
Yeah, man, go in.
All right, I'm ready.
Get ready for the next battle.
This
So
is
you
a
can see-
Christmas theme, but this isn't the way it always looks. There was a Halloween theme last time, so you guys are on the ball with the holidays.
Yeah, we want to keep making the game feel as fresh as possible for users. One of the cool things about mobile is we can keep updating pretty regularly. So whenever there's something new going on in the world, we want to be able to reflect that in the theme of the game.
What the hell was that? Hey, what did she just do right there? What the hell was that?
I'm on a bit of a delay, so
No, sure, I understand. That was cheap. I thought it looked like she just didn't get affected by that. I think it might have been because I did a guard crush and she wasn't guarding, right?
So an important thing is the Wazza cards actually have basically Power Crush
Armor.
on them. Yeah,
Woo!
yeah, Power Crush armor. So the idea there was, you know, you don't want to use one of your rare Wazzas and then have the other guy just jab you out of it. So the concept there is that the Wazza cards have a little bit of armor in the
Just
startup.
talk about the AI. These.
Yeah. So that's important. So you dunked her pretty hard there. So let's go on to the next fight.
Sure.
The important thing to mention is this isn't just another player didn't just set up these characters and then leave them. The cool thing we have here to make it feel more like player versus player is there is a learning AI system that basically every time you do a fight with that character, it grabs a bunch of data from the fight and helps to generate this AI. And the idea is that it not only uses the same Wazza cards that you choose and in the order that you tend to use them, but it also mimics some of the behaviors that you have. So if you are a very defensive kind of turtley player, that'll be reflected in the dojo AI. So the idea is to try to give you a sense of who this other player is. There's also things like customization items also get shown on these characters, so you can customize your guys however you want and have other players see them when they fight you.
How much? I wasn't even aware that there was currently a customization system in this game. Is that working right now?
Yeah, so we've got customization items. I'm not sure if you have any unlocked. We gave you a lot of free stuff, but I don't know if we gave you those.
You can.
You can preview them. Yeah,
Sure.
I know.
Okay. So
Yeah,
let me continue with this. It looks like he's got a 15% elemental bonus on you, which I'll have to work through. Am I ready to fight?
You can do that, or you can switch over to Asuka. And
Too late. I already pushed it. I'm in.
oh, you're in. You're in.
You know, some of these stages are really cool too. You know, I mean, it's pretty amazing that some of this stuff is on a cell phone. Honestly, the first time I played it, at that time, it was really a hot topic to talk shit about Marvel, and it's the first thing that I could think of. It's like, man, you guys really did a great job with some of these stages.
Yeah, the art team really outdid themselves. I don't know if there's any.
Oh, he did the cancel on me! He did the cancel on me. Did you guys see that shit? So if I see him charging the key charge, right, which is the guard break, what's the proper response to visually seeing a key charge?
Yeah. So the key charge itself doesn't have any armor or anything, so you can jab someone out of that. Of course, if you time it wrong, they'll start the animation on their move and probably trade with you. So you got to be careful about that. But
so the proper response to that visual cue is to attack with your normal?
Yeah, you can definitely jab. You could use a Wazza card, which would have that would really help. A lot of the hold attacks, not all of them, but some of them can also be backdashed. So you can actually time a backdash to try to avoid them. But that's,
does a backdash in this game have any type of invincibility, or can you be hit while you're backdashing?
You can get hit. So yeah, we experimented with invincibility, but we wanted to keep a lot of the movement aspects and the being able to punish movement at the right time. So
this is what you meant by 2 out of 3, right? So right now it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is the tiebreaker. 2-star Fang versus my 4-star Oscar, and I got Elemental on that ass. So let's see what we got going here. I like the close-up. I'm ready. Oh, my instinct was to block that second hit low, and I ended up changing the volume.
Oh no!
The second hit of that is low in Tekken 7. Oh, okay. Damn! Did you see that? So I did my Wazza card, and it completely blew through it with the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
one
well.
card are very powerful. Yeah.
That was cheap. That was my 4-star.
One shot at him. Nice.
Got
baby.
fucked up. Okay, all right. So that was cheating. I'm not gonna do that again. But I did get that massive chest. Okay, speaking of Oscar, let's see what the massive chest is about. Tap to open.
Sure. So now you have the chest. It's gonna take you right to your vault where the chest is, and you can spend some of your gemmy gems to unlock that chest.
I just pushed the button. What are we getting? I got some currency. Got some more currency. Here we go. Oh yes, let's talk a little bit about this. This is a character fragment.
Yes, you got a fragment for a character there. So in the main modes of the game, you can unlock these fragments for these characters, and as you collect fragments, once you collect the 10 fragments for the character, you can then unlock that rarity of the character. The cool thing is that after that, once you start collecting fragments, those now convert into new Wazza cards for that specific character.
Nice.
So it's a good thing to get fragments for characters even after you've collected them.
So how many? You said it's 10 to get the character, right?
Yeah.
And then after that point, when you get a fragment, how many of those do you need to create a Wazza card?
Oh, those go 1-to-1. So as soon as you get to a card,
And,
and even when you get duplicate cards, those automatically transform into crafting essence. So you can always make progress towards collecting more of these Wazza cards.
Nice. I was just mentioning the Gran Turismo Sport Daily, spin for a car, and I gotta tell you, the thing that drives me nuts in that game is you get these shitty duplicate cars, and it doesn't let you do anything with them but delete them. It makes me want to pull my beard out. This is really like, if you're gonna create a structure where there's like a random system, like a gacha system, right? This is like so much better, so you don't feel like you got ripped off. I mean, it's a heartbreaker every time you get the shitty hatchback, so this is the way to do it. So all right, I'm still claiming Shaheen. All right, I got a Shaheen fragment. Nina, that's the whole thing. So I'm finished. I'm finished up. What next?
Yeah, we can go into some of the other modes as well.
How about the dojo defense? What's that one about?
Yeah, so you can check that out too. So the defense is where you can set up what your defenders are going to be for other opponents. So if you go into the defense screen, you can see a very similar layout to the attacking. So you can set defenders, and those guys will show up for opponents that attack your dojo. The cool thing here is that depending on the strength of the team that you set, you generate a defense points towards getting a key, and that key can automatically open a dojo chest for you. It's always, you're incentivized to put your best guys in there so that you can get some free chests.
So let's talk a little bit about how Nina is KO'd right now, because it's pretty huge on my screen. So Nina is KO'd, and I can't have her defend my dojo. So let's talk about what we need to do to rectify that. I'll have Sergey handle it for now. Oh, he's KO'd too. How the hell did he die?
Well, we can go back and we can fix that for you.
Sure thing.
So why don't you back out of the dojo mode?
Okay.
And go back to the main menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go to fighters.
I'm on my way. Okay.
So if you want to click on one of the, or tap on one of the KO'd fighters.
Damn, you guys put Kuma in this, huh?
You.
I'm scrolling down to see these characters that are available. Some of these artworks are unique to this game too, right?
Yep.
A lot of these artworks, like this law picture, a lot of these I have never seen before. They have to be unique to this game.
Yeah, so actually that's one of the things that we really wanted to do to differentiate ourselves is like with the content within the game, we wanted it to be unique and unique to Tekken Mobile as well, right? So, I mean, when you asked earlier how much of this stuff will make it to Tekken 7, again, we still have to reach out to the console team to kind of talk about that stuff. But again, we kind of want our own identity as Tekken Mobile as well. So.
Sure. Yeah, I'm seeing Tiger Miyagi, and who's this other girl here? These are like they're gonna have some familiar moves, as you guys mentioned. I bet you there are. You remember earlier when we talked about the Marduk folder? I bet you there's some moves in those Marduk folders that you guys are like, okay, Marduk never got this move. Let's give it to Isaac. They'll never know it was a Marduk secret move. I'm just riffing here, but that's an idea that pops in. Okay, so we're bringing my characters back to life. Let's keep our eyes on the road. I'm seeing a 9 minutes for Nina and a 36 for Bruce. That ain't gonna cut it. All right. So how do we bring these guys back?
Yeah, get those guys back. So if you go into just tap on one of those characters, you'll get to the fighter landing screen for that particular fighter.
Okay.
And you should see a green button in the middle there that says revive.
It says something that will say revive later.
Yeah. So we, as we mentioned, this is a dev build, so there's some
Sure.
some debug stuff in there.
So we're here. We're in the menu. It said revive underscore something, so it's gonna say revive. Now we're in the revive menu.
Yeah. So from here you can use one of your revive items to bring this character back. So
Oh boy. So I have to choose between bringing back with 1 HP. Oh. And then so the character has a maximum HP, so we don't want to overuse an item, right?
yeah. So with Bruce here, he has a ton of health, so you won't be too it won't be too much of a waste if you use something like the Greater Revive. But depending on the character, you want to use Strength to Revive.
Use. So I'm using one. Okay, so now he's back to life, but he only has like a quarter of his health or something like that. So we want to heal him up, right? Or he's gonna get beat up.
Yeah, so if you tap on health, it'll go to the health packs, and then you can use these health packs. Now, this is an important element of the game. A lot of mobile games use what we call like an energy system. I don't know if you've seen other games that. I think you said you played Puzzle and Dragons, and I think.
Oh yeah, I've played Puzzles and Dragons before.
Yeah, so it has an energy system in it.
Okay, I still don't know what it is. Let's start from the top.
The idea being that every time you play, you eat up some of this energy, and then you can't play anymore, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, so for us, we were kind of bothered by these energy systems because, if it doesn't really matter if I'm good at the game or not, that's when I have to stop playing. So what we did here is we created, we got rid of energy so you can keep playing, but there is health that is persistent. So as long as you are good at the game, you can keep playing. So it incentivizes getting better at the game, which is something
arcade style, right? Arcade style.
That was important. So that's how the health works. So you can use some of your health packs that you have there to.
I have to purchase them first before I can use them, right?
Yeah, so you can. Yeah,
he's got 3.
Oh, you got 3 of the minor ones, so you can use them. Or feel free to refill the higher level ones too.
Okay. I used one. Let me use another one because 50% ain't gonna cut it. Let's go all the way, man. I got all the cheater stuff. Why not use them all? I'm not trying to be cheap. All right, he's still not fully healed up. So, all right, he's back to life. Now, where are we going next? There's so much stuff here that is like lots of stuff to do. It's pretty wild. Creating a deck, equipment. Oh, let's go there. I'm not that big on customization when it comes to Tekken, but I know a lot of these stoners in the chat room are. They love it. Change my pants, all kinds of stuff. Guitar, hell yeah. Let me do a guitar solo. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. Next, I don't mean to take the direction here. You tell me where to go.
Yeah, we definitely want to show people that we have these awesome customization options. And one of the cool things is we have exclusive ones for the specific holidays. So we had some exclusive stuff for Halloween, and coming up for Christmas, we're going to have some Christmas-style items that you can equip to your characters.
So these are obviously going to have lots of items that are not in Tekken 7. This is all your, we want to put a trombone or whatever, anything. You guys are going to do it, right? It's independent, right?
Yeah, so we have the ability to do that for sure. There are a lot of Tekken 7 ones that we love as well. We're always joking about the shower head. We want to get that at some point. But yeah, so it's a combination of some stuff from Tekken 7, and then when we can do new stuff, we're gonna do that too.
And is there anything in the customization? Because this is the part that really drives me nuts about Tekken 7, is some of these customizations actually affect the combat. You know, there's throws, there's machine guns, and stupid tanks and shit. So is there anything like that, or is it just cosmetic?
Just cosmetic. The future could hold a lot of different things, but
electric, clown ears or something like that could happen, right?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, actually one of our other designers here, Mike, he loves playing Dragunov with the pizza, and he's killed people a few times with the pizza. So,
he's part of the problem. You're part of the problem.
Exactly.
Part of the problem. You know.
Part of the problem.
Okay, go ahead.
Why don't Mike? Do you want to come in and let's talk a little bit about the story mode?
All right, the couch is about to get cozy. Oh, you guys are switching.
No, man, we're too big for that shit.
Hey, Mike, what's up, man?
Oh, hi, how's it going?
It's going great.
So let's look at the story mode that we have for the Tekken Mobile game.
All right, I'm hitting fight. I'm on my way. Story mode. I mentioned it before the stream started, but this guy looks just like Knuckle Doo, man. This is so much like Knuckle Doo, it's unbelievable. All right, I'm in story mode. Here we go.
Alright, so basically we have 3 acts. That is the main story of the game, which is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I saw you play a couple of them in the first stream that you did, so let's try to look at our featured act.
Jingle bells.
Okay, all right, it reminds me of Halloween. That one was a hit last time. So am I picking my team?
Yeah, so hit on the featured act, Jingle Bells, and then you should have a team selection screen.
All right, so do you have any recommendations on team? Because, I feel like right now it's either I blow them out with my cheap stuff or I get beat up with my low tier stuff. So what do you say?
So for the easier difficulties, you should be able to get through with the lower guys. Okay. However, for this featured act, it's mostly water fighters in the act. So it might be a good idea to take your electric guys in, like Wazza and Dragunov. You have elemental bonuses. And then
I'll throw Katarina in the back. Okay, I got a team ready. Should I begin?
Yeah, if you wanna take a look at the description, it's a beautiful written.
Oh, the dashing through the snow thing. I think I'm gonna go ahead and begin. Okay. All right, so I'm in. This is like a map with stages and whatnot.
Correct. So you fight through all these battles. If you complete the act, you get a guaranteed things. You can replay this act and have a chance of getting the same item over and over again. But as the difficulties go through, the fights get longer or it gets more difficult. Maybe a different route has more difficult fighters. So it varies through what kind of a playstyle, how much you want to invest in the story mode, and then the rates. Completed once at least, so it brings new players in, has great event content for featured act, for example, gives you tokens to get those sweet customization items for holiday seasons.
Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm gonna start fighting. 15% damage bonus, so that's the Discord tech, because you already know they're all water. Yeah, Christmas stages. So you guys got entire stages just for the holiday. That's pretty wild. Okay, let me kick this guy's ass. Oh boy. So once you're being hit, how does the combo system work when you're on your feet? If you get hit by the first hit of a string, there's no way to block the rest of the string, right? So it's always natural.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. That's something I didn't know. And how about if you block the first hit of a string? Is it possible to get hit by the forthcoming hits?
If you let go on some of the Wazza cards, yes, but not for the basic attacks.
So if they basically lock you into blocking the entire string if you block the first hit.
Yes, for basic.
Okay. Well, the first match is through, and okay, look, my Kazuya is damaged. So essentially, the goal here is to make it through without losing all 3 of my characters, right?
Yeah, or you can use your health potions and things like that.
Between matches.
Yeah, between matches. But your fighters will not automatically regenerate if they're locked in the story. So if you're trying to challenge hard or long chapters that gives you great rewards, you want to fill up on your consumables and potions before you get in here, because you're gonna take some damage along the way.
It's like It's like a dungeon. You got to plan ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I'm fighting against another like a Tekken Mobile character here, martial artist. I like her name. Okay, martial artist. Let's see what we got here. Damn, she just counter hit me right out of the guard break, and I'm almost dead. So let me back this up. There's definitely whiff punishing in this game, that's for sure. It just happened, and it's gonna happen again right now. Oh, back it up. Okay, guard break. So she's. I don't want to talk about that. The guard break is kind of difficult to use against the AI, right? Because you have an AI here that's gonna like, once it gets tough, it's not gonna want to get guard broken, right?
Yep. The AI's behaviors differently, but for one thing to use guard breaks against AI, you want to make sure they're blocking first before you use it. So visually. So you want to see them do this and then hit the guard break button. Yeah.
You gotta wait for them to rise up. All right, I'm gonna go with Punk, because that last guy was a little tough, and I got my Sergei ready, so this is gonna be a different story. Are there moves that are unsafe on block? That was bullshit. You used the Wazza card right through my shit. Okay.
Regarding unsafe moves, not currently. There are ranges of minus frames. Oh man. But most generally, except for a few exceptions, they're mostly safe.
Okay, so most of the time things are going to be safe. So it's a matter of the block punishing is not going to be as big a factor as, let's say, the whiff punishing. Spacing, backing up, and making it whiff. And also the guard breaks, and also there are Wazza guard breaks and there are generic guard breaks, right? The Wazza guard breaks are impossible to react to.
Pretty much.
So that's the difference, the value difference of each of those.
And also, Wazza guard breaks have long range, some of them, so you can do it from far away rather than running up and letting the opponent have the time to react.
Right, yeah. Seeing it, exactly. So the difference between those two guard breaks is visual. So we have this other character here, Biker. You can walk forward, right? Or can you not walk forward?
You can't walk forward.
It's dashing forward and back.
Yeah.
Again, like we talked about doing things like giving you more fidelity in the movement, but again, it really just comes down to the platform, right? Like
right. I mean, if it's unnecessary, it's unnecessary. This is your vision on a combat system, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was important that every action was a discrete one. So.
Sure. I'm 2 stages away from Jin. So this is the first time Jin is in this game, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's his long-range normal, the trooper roll?
Yeah.
And it's airborne too. So in this game, just like the main game, you're a little bit safer when you're in the air than, oh my god.
Yep.
Than on the ground. The green cards are just strike cards, right?
Yes. They do a lot of damage.
Okay.
Especially for characters.
Yeah, this is obviously an overpowered character. Is there a way to switch order mid dungeon?
Yeah, you can just hit on the guy that you want to fight with on the portraits on the left side.
So in the pre-fight screen, you can just tap your fighter portrait.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks. I didn't know that. So I'm gonna pick a 2-star here, so I don't blow his ass out like I did the last 2 guys. 2-star Katarina. Man, that is pretty wild.
Let's see.
Oh, what, dude? Come on, man. Slash kick into that? Was that a Wazza card? You can't even go with, like, do you guys have strung together concepts that definitely are... Oh, my... You mentioned the throw Wazza card, right? You introduced the throw Wazza card with King. But they don't exist with any other characters, right?
Actually, so that's one thing that we've been looking at. So whenever we release a new Wazza card, or Wazza card type, we want to kind of have like a marquee character to accompany it. And then what we want to do is look at the cast and figure out what the strengths and weaknesses of everyone is, and slowly roll out the Wazza type to other characters. But just like your earlier question about like how do we choose the moves for all these characters, it really comes down to the meta of the game currently and the Wazza distribution. So if we find that, like, for example, Paul is a little underpowered because his moves have long startup or something, and we want to give him a bit of a buff somewhere, then we might give him a couple of throws or something. So
very interesting. So I feel like there is so much here in terms of the combat system that when you guys talk about it with me, it can become, I think, for the average stoner in the chat room, unclear that you guys clearly are talking about against humans, right? It's not like when you add a Wazza card and it disrupts the balance and all these ideas, you're talking about local versus mode. You're not talking about necessarily against the AI. So it makes, I think in that context, the way you're speaking about the game, it really makes a lot more sense than just, upsetting the balance versus an AI is kind of like a peculiar thought. But you guys are definitely balancing, I'm about to open this chest here, balancing the game for humans.
Yeah. Also, as the project goes bigger, and we want to look into more sophisticated AI. So all these things that we just mentioned about having local versus head-to-head player experience, somehow we want to integrate it into the AI system as well. So each AI system, maybe some AIs will have some kind of a playstyle that you want to fight against and customize your deck against that kind of playstyle. So if an AI is very defensive, you want to put more guard breaks into your deck,
Sure,
etc. So that's something that we're always looking into. Yeah.
Okay, I got a holiday token. What is a holiday token?
You can collect those and get those holiday customization items.
Is this the only way to acquire those?
Yes.
There's always multiple ways to acquire stuff, but during the holiday season, like we have a slew, or anytime we're running a special theme, we accompany kind of like these special rewards that are specific to kind of the exclusive content that we have running that month or whatever. So in this case, it's winter holidays, and it actually gives you access to a bunch of exclusive winter holiday stuff. So
if you want to back out from the screen and we can take a look at live events a little bit.
Sure thing. I'm already there.
So in live events, we obviously for this build we made some special ones for you, but in the actual game we run daily live events that have special properties or special prizes, and we always want to come up with new things that's revolving around the world for holiday seasons. We are obviously going to do holiday events. We're going to have special modes like boss modes where you fight a very difficult fighter, but all your damages accumulate, so you can get a really good reward every time you challenge him. So this is our changing content that's always fresh to new players that always wants to come back to the game and play new things. I don't know if you want to try against boss mode Leo, but
I do. Which one did you say?
The boss mode Leo?
The one that's open right here. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. It said, what was this? The skull on top is just to signify that it's a boss.
Yes, it's a boss.
Man, it seemed so like like back it up. It's just like a difficult enemy. I'm gonna pick a weaker.
No, you should go with go with your.
Wow, you guys really mean business, huh? Okay, so if I die, what happens if I die? Like, let's say I pick Katarina and Leo kills me. Can I try again with the harder character?
Yes.
All right, well let me try with Katarina. You guys don't believe in me? I'm a fucking expert at this shit.
All right.
You're the guru. 2-star Katarina against Leo, and I got and she's a fire. What is the green leaf? Is she a stoner element?
It's the earth element.
Oh shit! So we got fire and we got the stoner element, and you know how that ends. Let's see how we can do this here.
So these boss events are actually a bit unique in that.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I should have taken the cop's advice. Let's try that again. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. So one thing to note is this particular boss event is a unique event. It runs for a set period of time, and during that period of time, what you're actually trying to do is accumulate as much damage against him as possible.
Okay.
Her, him, her.
Leo.
Leo.
Mhm. Okay, well, I'm ready. I thought there was more to that. Okay, well, we're good to go. As much damage as possible. Does that mean this is like a very difficult to win fight?
Yeah, it's impossible to basically kill him. So
Gotcha. This is one of those situations. So the overall strategy should be, oh my god, 50%. Oh, it's a throw. Nice. I got him with the throw. Okay, back. Oh.
So one thing to note is King actually has a unique hold attack. So unlike other people who have the traditional strike, his hold attack is a throw.
Oh my god. 50% with one hit? Unbelievable. I got some licks in though. Sorry to interrupt. That was bullshit, dude. I got fucked up. 50. Damn, these guys are laughing. All right, I understand what's going on. They gave me the 4-star king too. They're laughing because I'm losing with the cheap characters. All right.
You gotta level it up. Man.
Boss damage reward. What is this stuff?
So whenever you hit damage threshold with the boss mode, you'll get some kind of reward. So
Okay.
you get constantly rewarded as you progress through the boss mode, and usually something very sweet at the end.
All right, cool. Well, was that a success?
You got some damage in.
Okay, so that was a success, right?
Yeah.
I got you. All right, what next? I see a 1 next to my fighters. Can you usually when there's stuff like that, that means there's something to do there, right? So what's going on in this 1 next to my fighters?
If you go to the fighter screen, there should be a fragment that you can redeem
Okay.
in one of the fighters.
Oh, that reminds me. Something that I didn't really get into last time is leveling up. So let's take this Nina, which has 44 health, and let's talk about what that really means. So here it is. I see a fragment, I see a redeem, and I see a level. So tell me about this screen and this upgrade skills thing on the right too.
So if you hit redeem button, you'll convert the fragment to Wazza card, what Justin was saying earlier. So it's always getting you items, and if you have a duplicate, it comes to crafting currency. But for the level ups, you use your elemental shards that you get from the game, and then you basically level up, power up your fighter. So you get more health, you do more Wazza damage, you do more basic attack damage, and with all that, you actually get also a skill point that you can go into and customize your fighter wherever you like. So if you just want to hit level up button.
I just got a reverse ivory cutter that has 7 seconds of cooldown. That's tight. Okay, so you said how many moves per character currently?
Roughly 30 per character.
Yeah, so right now everyone's got about 30 moves, but that's kind of just our starting point. So
Okay, so I'm in this upgrade screen here. It looks like there's some kind of a tree.
Yep. So it's basically like a skill tree that you hit the plus button, and then you'll see a variety of things that you can level up with.
Okay.
Hit this plus button, you should be able to see 3 types.
Yeah, I see those.
So basically, one is basic attack, increased damage, or one's like a strike or Wazza card, increased damage, and one's like health and some kind of outgame utility things, like you get more reward, things like that. So
This is like your loadout?
yeah, this is like your loadout.
Okay.
So you can customize how you want your Nina to fight. So if you want to put a lot of strike cards into your deck, and then you want to increase strike damage in all these mastery tree, then she'll do a lot of damage and strike. But however, the basic attack and things like that might not compete with the others. So you can really customize what your fighter is with this mastery tree that you can fit your playstyle, basically.
Is it right now? It makes me think. Okay, since you don't have to wait for your normal attacks to cool down, upgrading those doesn't seem like a bad idea. They're always available to you, so I went with that. So there's only one upgrade available now, right? So that
Yep.
I have to wait for more skill points to be able to upgrade further.
To the fighter screen,
All right.
where it says level up.
Oh, hold on. I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm there.
So if you level up, that actually increases your max HP and then some basic stats, and you also get a skill point on top of that.
So what is this currency I'm using 30 of to level up?
So this is the water shards that you get through just playing the game.
Okay.
So there are 4 types of shards that's elemental based. So If it's a water fighter, it'll use a water shard. If it's a firefighter, it'll use a fighter shard, etc., etc.
What decides whether they're a water fighter or a firefighter?
So this actually comes down to the balance all the fighters in our game, right? We have to kind of look at, you know, what makes sense for that fighter in particular, but also like you know, what else exists currently
It's
in
just
the
a
meta,
balance
right?
thing, right? You got to just assign someone an element. Makes sense. Okay, is there only one version of, like, is there only a water Nina, or is there a fire Nina and a ice Nina, or a earth Nina?
So we talked about that before, but we wanted it to be, again, like one of the things that we wanted for users to be able to do is easily recognize, you know, who their opponent is, what the matchup is, and if we had like element types of every single character, for example, that'd be a really hard thing for users to kind of recognize. So yeah, there's only one type for every element.
Okay. Now, I mean, you guys do have a combo video that we are going to show that is super crazy. And I want to talk about what we see on that after we see it. So I don't know when you guys want to show that and how much more you want to show me now before we get to that. Because another question I have is there a mode or a way in this game for you to attempt the combos that we're going to see in that video?
Yeah, actually, let's get right into it. Let's load her up and then we
Okay,
can
sure. All right. So I feel a lot better about this because we already did it once. And I know it worked. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that again. Let me stay focused on what I need to do. We're gonna watch this combo video that the Namcops have sent me, and boy, it's a doozy. So give me a second here, and we'll check that out. Man, I know everyone. Even all those people that are like, okay, Tekken Mobile, let me hate on this for a little while. You know those guys are into that. That was dope. I didn't think, after playing the game, I didn't think that any of that shit was possible, and that was a crazy combo video. And, you know, the first time I saw it, when I brought it up to these Namcops, like, wow, you know, I thought that was going to be whack, but it turned out to be pretty cool. You know, you guys instantly told me about this rule about Namco official combo videos that I didn't even know about. So let's talk about that a little bit. Go ahead and explain about what we saw in that video and a little bit about that rule.
Yeah, so there was this like this weird like IP rule that we were told about a little while ago about how we don't actually want to show like full death combos in Tekken just because it gives the impression that the game is really cheap or whatever, right? But with our game, for example, you look at it and you're like, whoa, you can do 100% combos, but if you actually factor in kind of the fact that the game itself functions off an RNG system with the Wazza cards, to actually get there, you have to make sure that you get the right cards in order to execute on that, right? So again, we were able to kind of get through it because of that, but that's one of the things that we've actually built into the system. So like for someone who has bought all of the best cards, for example, or have the best deck, there's no guarantee that you'll pull the right cards at the right time when you need it, right? And we really wanted it to be kind of like this dynamic system where we give you these Wazzas which act as your tools, and these tools are what allow they determine basically what your next move in your fight is, and if you see our tagline, what's your next move, that's kind of where that all came from.
So the thing that I think a lot of people will immediately focus on is the idea that, okay, so you can get access to all these really, really strong cards, but even if you have access to all the cards, you still have to draw them. That's really the focus, right? You have to draw them. You have to get that perfect, order to even be able to do that. Now, the thing you mentioned about the 100% combos, that's something that's interesting because I feel like I've caught wind of that in the past, and you never see them do anything like that. But it's really interesting that that's a rule. That's like something that they, I don't know how else to put it. It's interesting that they have a rule like that so that you don't make the game look cheap. Can you tell me a little bit about the rage system in this game? We've seen rage arts, and I've already said that one of the most appealing things initially about this game are not only that Bruce, Marduk, and these characters are in it, but they also have rage arts, which they have never had. So it's not just that this legacy character is here and they're not in Tekken 7, but they're given some tools that only exist in Tekken 7. So not only does that make you feel like, oh, I'm interested in seeing what they got, it also, the instinct is, I want them to come to Tekken 7, right? You've seen the rage art. It's like, well, let's get the show on the road. So, it's really interesting to me, and I think it's a big factor, the rage arts. How do they work in the game?
So the rage arts actually, they work almost identically to how they work in Tekken 7. Once you enter the rage mode or low life mode, you have access to this rage art. One different thing is with rage arts, because Wazza cards have armor. Rage arts actually have it supersedes Wazza cards. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like it's the comeback mechanic that it's been as it was designed in Tekken. So as Tekken as a franchise kind of evolves, we feel like it made sense for us to not deviate too far from that. But in doing that, what we want to do is, like I said earlier, with Tekken Mobile, we want unique content within Tekken Mobile. We want things that people can kind of look at and say, hey, Tekken 7 has this, but Tekken Mobile has this, and that's really cool too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that you're not trying to be Tekken 7, right? You're trying to be a product for Tekken fans to really enjoy when they're on their way to karate practice or whatever, right? It's like one of those things. So, it's very cool, very cool. One thing I want to talk about that I think it's kind of like we're coming close to the end here, and I'm thinking a lot of people out there, even if they're trying to pretend like they're, talking shit and they're bitches, as soon as this turns off, they're going to be like, yo, let me get that link. How do I register for this shit so they can get it on their phone? So let's talk a little bit about where and how this game is currently available and when it's going to be available for everyone. So where is this game available now?
So right now we're soft launched for Android and iOS in Canada. We've opened it up to Australia, New Zealand, but that's Android only. And then recently we've opened it up to Sweden, Finland, and I believe a couple of Nordic countries. And those are Android only. We will be rolling out kind of to more countries as we approach kind of our worldwide date. There's no official date yet because we're still working on trying to tune the game, add more features, and really just figure out what the best balance for all the systems in the game are. But as soon as I have a date, I'll be letting you know and posting that on my Twitter as well. So. And
another question, so we've discussed many times the entire combat system is around the local battle. Is there anything you can tell me about the local battle system, and when people will be able to try it?
Yeah, so it's still in development right now. We've actually held a tournament at Paris Games Week where we're giving out cash prizes.
Sure.
And the reception that we've gotten was really, really positive. So this has actually been a great affirmation for us. In terms of when it's actually released, we're still.
What the hell was that? Did you hear that?
Oh, I hit my water bottle.
Oh man, I thought it was like a boxing match or some shit. What the hell was that? Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so when it'll actually be released, we're still working on it. We're working towards it. So one of the things that we have to kind of struggle with is like with iPhones, for example, they all use the same hardware. So it's really easy to figure out how compatible an iPhone versus iPhone is. But with Android, there's so many different hardware profiles. It's really difficult for us to figure out, which devices work well with which. So we're trying to cover our bases and make sure that when we do release this feature, it is working for as many people as possible. So.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's no easy task. This is no joke, especially when you're working with Namco of Japan. It's like you guys. This is a serious undertaking you guys are taking. I could tell you guys are passionate about it. So that's very cool. It's very nice. What else do you guys want to, as closing comments or anything you guys have to say about the game that maybe we didn't cover? This is a good opportunity.
We just love to hear your feedback. For all the users who are participating in the soft launch, please don't hesitate to send us your feedback. Let us know what your thoughts are. And then again, for people who aren't able to play the game, please go and pre-register at Tekken-mobile.com. Sorry, Tekken-mobile.com. And yeah, reach out to me. I'm on social media too. I've got my Twitter up there. Let me know what you guys like. Let me know what you want to see in the game. Because again, this is a game for you guys, right? We really want to listen to the fans, and we want to hear your thoughts about where you want to take Tekken Mobile. So.
Yeah, it really seems like this is a product that is not set in stone, and you guys are really open to ideas, and you really want to make it something that people like, which is really cool. I feel like that's another edge that you might have even over Tekken, the main game, because it feels like almost so hard to make things happen. Like, how hard could it be to get that damn leather costume for Nina, right? But you guys just flip a switch and it's there. So, that's one thing that I think is really, really cool. And, it's really... I appreciate you guys coming here, man, and showing us your game. I keep looking at that Soul Calibur in the back, and I keep wanting to get something out of you guys, but there's nothing you're gonna tell me about Soul Calibur. Yeah, all right, I hear you. All right, boys. Namcops, it's always a pleasure. Please make sure you thank Yonemori-san for joining us as well. I'm a big fan. He's a legend. And unless you guys have anything else, that's gonna wrap it up for now. Thanks, boys.
Aris, thank you so much for having us. Again, thank you everyone on the stream who came by and watched. It was awesome being here.
For sure. Thanks. All right, guys. Take care. We'll catch you guys next time. Hey, all right. See you guys later.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes.